G'day humans, Chris Stead from Finer here. We're talking NFT games, and today the subject is Square Enix. Now, Square Enix is one of the biggest and most beloved AAA video games developers and publishers going around. The Japanese company was formed from the merger of two other companies, Squaresoft and the Enix Corporation, but their history dates back to releasing video games as far as 4 decades ago. But where does Square Enix stand on all things Web3, metaverse, NFTs, blockchains, and play-to-earn gaming? Now, we're going to discuss that in this video. This is part of a series of videos that I am doing where I'm diving into all the AAA video game players in the traditional gaming space to find out where they stand on all things kind of Web3. Now, I invite you to check out the rest of the videos, but also make sure you check out the articles that are linked in the description below, because I will update these in real time as news comes to my attention in the months and years ahead. But for right now, let's dive into Square Enix. Now, as I mentioned, Square Enix's history goes back a full 4 decades. The company's never really been focused on hardware, it's always been about the games. And while it's kind of excelled at a number of genres, Square is definitely best known for its multiple and amazing blockbuster RPG series. Now, they include Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest, Kingdom Hearts, the Mana series, the Chrono series, and Star Ocean. But it's also known for series like Front Mission, Bubble Bobble, Drakengard, Just Cause, Life is Strange, Outriders, and the Valkyrie Profile, as well as making the recent Marvel Avengers game. Square remains a big force in 2022, however, its library has diminished significantly in recent times after Square sold 2 of its biggest developers, Eidos and Crystal Dynamics, to the Embracer Group. Now, I will go into this in more detail later, but that sale not only cost them 50 games from their legacy catalogue, but also saw them lose huge, big name franchises such as Tomb Raider, Legacy of Kain, Deus Ex, Gex, and Thief. Probably more than any other AAA video games developer, Square Enix has been very vocal about its interest and desire to get involved with blockchain, play-to-earn gaming, the metaverse, and NFTs. Now, they were a little bit later to the party than, say, Ubisoft and Microsoft, who have also been very, very vocal supporters. However, the president, Yosuke Matsuda, has been the face, I guess, of a lot of this commentary, and it first started back in January 2019, where in his annual and becoming more and more famous New Year's address, he said the following: "With the subsiding of the cryptocurrency bubble, the use of blockchain technology has spread to a variety of non-cryptocurrency domains as well. One has been the gaming space, where there have been some interesting developments with games and game platform services using blockchain technology. We are also very interested in potential applications for blockchain technology in the digital content space." So that was way back at the start of 2019, but it wasn't until March 2020 that we really saw the first notable investment from Square Enix into the blockchain space. And it was a very savvy investment in the game The Sandbox, one of the more notably successful NFT games that is owned by one of the biggest players in the space, Animoca Brands. Now, then it was a couple of months after that, in May 2020, where we started to see Matsuda vocalize what his future intent was for the company around Web3. And what he said was, "Blockchain games are a new domain on which we should focus our investments." Now, it'd be some time until we saw that vision actually realized. It'd be October 2021 when Square Enix would release its first NFT game. And this was a collectible card game, a spin-off of a Japanese title called Shi-San-Sei Million Arthur NFTs. I really hope I said that correctly. Now, this was better known as the Million Arthur NFTs, and look, it was always called a proof of concept, but it was also sold out within 2 weeks. And in November 2021, Square would declare it a success, saying, "We're contemplating a robust entry into blockchain games due to a changing environment with increasingly diverse profiles and incentives for people involved in gaming." So that's October 2021. Now, through November of 2021 and into December is when we really started to see a growing frustration within the traditional gamer space from the gamers, pushing back against the possibility and the idea that, blockchain technology was going to start playing a role in the video games that they played. Now, in early December 2021, we saw Ubisoft release the Quartz platform that blew up in a huge way. And I did an interview with Ubisoft at the time that I then published in January 2022, which also blew up and created quite a storm on the internet. And a lot of anger and frustration was starting to be apparent within gamers, but also the traditional gaming media who were covering these events. So it was around this time that we saw a lot of the AAA video games players who had otherwise been quite happily publicly vocal about their interest in what blockchaining could do and NFTs could do for their video games. We started them to really pull back. You know, like major players who have been in the space since 2015, like Microsoft, we're starting to kind of go, oh yeah, maybe we won't do that. You know, EA started to pull back as well, at least publicly, not behind the scenes. You'll find out if you look at any of our other videos. But the point here is that Square Enix did not pull back at all. And in early January 2022, Matsuda released his usual annual address to investors, and in it, he doubled down. By designing viable token economies into our games, we will enable self-sustaining game growth. It is precisely this sort of ecosystem that lies at the heart of what I refer to as decentralized gaming, and I hope that this becomes a major trend in gaming going forward. So that's pretty blunt. But Matsuda was in that address kind of also saying that he does believe that it's a different subset of gamers, potentially to traditional gamers that he's talking about here. But he did also express that he thinks that there are traditional gamers who are interested in blockchain gaming, and particularly those gamers who are involved in user-generated content. So he went on to say in that address, I realise that some people who play to have fun and who currently form the majority of players have voiced their reservations towards these new trends, and understandably so. However, I believe that there will be a certain number of people whose motivation is to play to contribute, by which I mean to help make the game more exciting. Traditional gaming has offered no explicit incentive to this latter group of people, who are motivated strictly by such inconsistent personal feelings as goodwill and volunteer spirit. The fact is not unrelated to the limitations of existing user-generated content. Now this paints a picture where Square Enix intends to build games that users can create content for, and that in creating that content, those users will become part owners of the game. Now, Matsuda is very clear that he thinks this is great for gamers. I believe this will lead to more people devoting themselves to such efforts and to greater possibilities of gaming growing in exciting ways. From having fun to earning to contributing, a wide variety of motions will inspire people to engage with games and connect with one another. It is a blockchain-based tokens that will enable this. And you know what? I kind of agree with him. I think that there is an opportunity there if you're going to try and motivate gamers to create content by rewarding them in some way. And further in that address, Matsuda even went on to suggest that there could be a Square coin that could exist across the metaverse of titles that Square Enix is going to produce as part of this blockchain future it's envisioning. We will keep a close eye on societal shifts in the space while listening to the many groups of users that populate it, and ramp up our efforts to develop a business accordingly with an eye to potentially issuing our own tokens in the future. So needless to say, and again, if you remember the climate I'm talking about here just after release of Quartz in that interview, traditional gamers got real angry about this, and there's a lot of hate and frustration. But the reality is that after this New Year's address, Square Enix's share price went up 8%. So that was said in January 2022. In February 2022, Square Enix started a blockchain entertainment division within the company. And in March 2022, we saw what I assume is the first project to occur under that division, which was a second season of the Million Arthur NFTs game that I mentioned from earlier in this video. And alongside that announcement, Square said, encouraged by results and feedback from our NFT business, we have decided to produce a second season. So around this time, we were seeing another significant collapse in the cryptocurrency market, and NFTs were kind of getting dragged down in that as well. And a lot of traditional games media at the time were coming out and doing a big I told you so to people like Matsuda. But in April 2022, Matsuda decided to double down. Until now, in most games, we provided the content as a finished product, and the players played that content. However, there was a certain number of players in the world who wanted to contribute to making games more interesting by creating new settings and ways of playing. If, instead of relying on goodwill, we can also provide incentives to those who contribute to develop by utilizing technologies such as blockchain, there is a possibility that innovative and interesting content can be created from the ideas of users. Of course, the counter argument to that is, well, people are already generating content for other people to play right now across a host of titles. I guess Matsuda's point here is that if we incentivize gamers to contribute that content, perhaps it'll be better and there'll be more of it. Now, the depth of Square Enix's belief in Web3 and blockchain technology was never more evident than in May 2022. And this was kind of a blockbuster moment. Out of nowhere, Square Enix sold off 3 of its key developers, a whole bunch of its IP, and 50 of its legacy titles to the Embracer Group for US $300 million. And it blew everyone away. Especially because at the time of that sale, Square released the following statement. This money will enable the launch of new businesses by moving forward with investments in fields including blockchain, AI, and the cloud. So of course, traditional games media ignored the AI and the cloud part of that and started pitching the story basically that Square Enix had sold Tomb Raider to build blockchain games. And that was in early May 2022. In late May 2022, there was a financial results briefing. And in that, Square basically clarified that it wasn't going to be the primary focus of the spend of that capital. And it did so by saying, rather than using the proceeds from the divestiture in new investment domains such as NFT and blockchain, we intend to use them primarily to fund our efforts to foster solid IP and to enhance our development capabilities in our core digital entertainment segment. Now, was this the first sign of a Square Enix back down? Hell no, because in that same financial results briefing, Square went on to talk about how they're going to keep going crazy investing in NFTs. Our plan is to incorporate game content into our services and to leverage the development and operational expertise we have amassed in our existing businesses to explore the potential of earning structures, breadth of play, and NFT ownership experiences in the NFT business. More importantly, this financial results briefing gave us probably the strongest and most public, breakdown of how a AAA game developer was going to branch out into the NFT, blockchain, and metaverse space. Now, this is because it broke down the medium-term remit for its blockchain entertainment division, which it had created earlier in the year. And that remit was as follows. Initiative to establish regulatory clarity and guidelines for blockchain games, tackling scalability in NFT economic zones and experiences, issuing exclusive fungible tokens and designing earning structures in communities, and talks there specifically to UGC, which is user-generated content, governance guilds, and more. World building, story-focused creatives, and launching a new NFT brand and IP, issuing, managing, and investing in our own tokens, game and service publishing businesses established in countries with wide cryptocurrency adoption. So the key takeaways here, it's going to create new IP for its NFT games. It's going to look at create to earn or user-generated content as a key player here. And it's going to acquire or form play to earn guilds. Now, also part of that financial results briefing, Square Enix declared that it was going to invest yet more money into the sandbox and also into its creator Animoca brands. So if you're a traditional gamer and you're hearing all this for the first time, it's probably a bit of a shock. This is not a company that's just kind of experimenting with or keeping an eye on blockchain. This is a developer that is all in on having a blockchain future. It's investing in it more than any other company that I've come across in the AAA video gaming scene to date. However, in June 2022, Matsuda did say something that may just give a little bit of relief to hardcore gamers. Now, what he said was, our goal is the development of blockchain games and entertainment products. We will launch new brand IP or creative NFTs and emphasize worldview and story, but it's still too early to consider making Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy blockchain games. So at least in the near future, the more beloved IP from Square Enix will be kept separate from blockchain games. But anyone who knows Square and series like Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest this know that no one flogs a brand quite like Square, and it's definitely on the cards, I would say, that we will see those brands eventually in some way tied into all this investment and effort they're putting into a blockchain gaming scene. However, I do find some warmth in hearing them talk about NFTs that are deeply integrated with story, because that is something that we haven't seen a lot of, if anything at all, really, to date. So this is a developer who is famed for its storytelling. So that's, I guess, something to be hopeful for, that they're at least considering the idea of these NFTs and these blockchain games being more than just collectible games and things about just managing rarity. The NFT crash of 2022 may be dramatic, but the underlying blockchain technology and the opportunities put forward by player-owned assets will find its feet. And Square Enix is absolutely betting on this fact. This is a developer that doesn't just have a vision of this being the future, but has implemented already steps on how to achieve that vision. And as a result, you can expect Square Enix to be a major face and a major player in whatever it is that happens between the worlds of AAA video gaming and Web3 in regards to metaverse, blockchain, NFTs, and play-to-earn gaming. Thank you very much for watching. I am Chris Stead from Finder. Please make sure you check out my other videos. Make sure you keep your eye on those articles listed below because they will keep you informed of all the events that happen as they unfold. Until next time, happy gaming.